Let's talk right now to the lawyer representing Herman Cain's accuser. Gloria Allred is joining us from New York. Gloria, thanks very much for coming in. Why did this woman decide to go public right now? Because she's held this secret, except for two of her friends, for all these years, since 1997.
Well, because, as she said, Wolf, that there are three other women who have reportedly made claims of sexual harassment. Two allegedly had settlements. One, of course, is said anonymously to a reporter, I think Associated Press, that he had sexually harassed. And none of them came forward and put a face on it, gave a voice to it, gave their names. She was willing to do so, and she wanted to be supportive of them, but she also felt that it was time to break the silence about it. And I might add, Wolf, it's a very important fact that she is a registered Republican herself. And she liked Herman Cain. But this is wrong, what he did to her, and she felt that she needed to speak out, and that this country does need a leader who is going to come clean and be honest and set a moral example when he's in office. And unfortunately, Mr. Cain is not doing that.
Is it your sense that not only is she a Republican, but she's a Tea Party activist? Would she describe herself as a Tea Party activist?
Well, she describes herself as a registered Republican, and that's who she is.
But she's not affiliated, or is she affiliated with any of the other Republican presidential campaigns? Because you know the allegations that maybe another campaign put her up to it or anything like that. You've had conversations with her. What has she said to you?
She said that she specifically has not made any donations to any of the other campaigns. She's not been involved with any of the other campaigns. And that she's speaking out because she alleges that Herman Cain sexually harassed her.
Is she the same woman who called up Joel Bennett, the attorney here in Washington? He mentioned the other day he got a voicemail from a woman who said that she was sexually harassed by Herman Cain when she worked at the National Restaurant Association. When he called back, she said, never mind. Is this the woman that you're representing now?
You would have to ask Mr. Bennett who called him.
Mr. Bennett who called who?
No, I'm saying if he's saying that someone left a voicemail for him,
yes,
then he would be the one to identify the person.
He seems to say that, yes, the woman you represent now had originally left a voicemail for him.
Yeah, I can't comment on who she may have left voicemails with and whether, if she left a voicemail for Mr. Bennett.
Now,
I just can't comment on that.
All right. Contemporaneously, she says she informed two of her friends, her then boyfriend and another friend, about what happened. They've signed documents now saying that what she says is true. Are you releasing those documents?
No, I'm not. I did read the contents of the two affidavits, which were signed under penalty of perjury, and which I have in my possession. I did read that to some members of the press after the news conference. I did not disclose the name. One of them is a physician. The other one is a businessman. And they both, independently of each other, sent us declarations, which we asked for to corroborate, that she did, in fact, indicate contemporaneously with or shortly thereafter the incident with Mr. Cain that she has alleged that they were told by her that he was sexually inappropriate with her, and it was very upsetting to her.
Are these two individuals willing to go public and let their identity be known and speak out?
Not today. I know their identity. Our office has spoken with both of them. I've spoken with both of them, and we're not revealing that today, but they're both, I think, very responsible members of the community, and they've known her for a long time. They vouch for her honesty and her decency, and for the fact that she told them about it, although not the details that we revealed today, many years ago, because she was very kind of embarrassed and humiliated by the situation at the time.
Is that why she didn't go public at the time?
Well, I can't say why she didn't go public at the time, but she didn't move ahead. And I might add her motives are pure. She's not, she's not suing anybody. She's not, she could have sold her story. She has not accepted money for this story. She's not going to accept it. She just wants the truth to come out as she knows it, as she's lived it, as she sees it. And that's why she did what she did today.
Are you considering any legal action against Herman Cain right now, civil or whatever?
No, she's not intending to file any claim, not intending to file a lawsuit, not asking for any criminal charges to be filed. None of that at all.
Well, and the reason is, why wouldn't she? Is there a statute of limitations that has expired? Is that why?
Well, there's a statute of limitations on everything under the law except for murder, for which there is no statute of limitations. But I won't say the statute of limitations is the reason, but I will say that's not her intention, and that's not what she's going to do.
So what is your message and your client's message to Herman Cain right now?
Well, our message is really very simple. I for one, I'm disgusted by sexual harassment. If the allegations of all of these women, including my client, are true, then Mr. Cain is a serial sexual harasser. And that is very harmful to women. Whoever is elected president of the United States is going to be the employer of the largest workforce in the country. Those are federal government employees. And that person has to set the standard. That person has to really be a leader in every way. And sexual harassment interferes with the enjoyment of equal employment opportunity. And our message is sexual harassment is wrong. It matters. It hurts women. And in the words of my client, it's time for Mr. Cain to come clean.
What advice do you have for the 3 other women who don't want to go public for a variety, for whatever reason?
Well, Wolf, it's a very personal decision. We do more sexual harassment cases as a private law firm in our country than probably any other private law firm in the nation. We have for 36 years. So it's an individual decision whether a woman can speak out, wishes to speak out, or does not wish to speak out. There are many, most of the time sexual harassment cases are settled with non-disclosure clauses and agreements. They're confidential settlements. And most of the time, in order to accept a monetary settlement, there's a condition of the employer that the employee not speak out. Now, even if it's waived, it may be that the women would like to retain their privacy. Obviously, anyone who does speak out is going to be attacked. There are attacks on my client already. And she understood that that was a risk, that she was going to be attacked and scrutinized, and many of those attacks will be unfair. Many of them will be inaccurate. So I can understand why people don't speak out. It does take a great deal of courage. I admire the women who filed the claims of sexual harassment against him in the first place if they felt there was a basis for it. And they did assert and exercise their rights, and they did vindicate them by the settlement, is my opinion. And so I'm glad for those women. And if they can speak out, that's great. But if they can't, I'm very happy they stood up for themselves in their workplace.
Tell us a little bit more about Sharon Bialek, why she decided to go public right now. I assume when she heard about the other sexual harassment cases, that motivated her. But you know better than I do.
Yeah, it did motivate her. And also, it was disturbing to her in light of what she alleges occurred. That is, what she alleges that Mr. Cain did to her, that Mr. Cain kept denying it. And she felt that if she came forward, that there was a chance that he would finally take responsibility. As I said, she had admired Mr. Cain for a long time. She felt he was a very charismatic speaker. He was very warm and hospitable to her when she was working for the Educational Foundation of the National Restaurant Association. But she was very shocked and disturbed by his conduct in the car. And then the way he basically brushed off what the women said. He didn't take responsibility last week, and she felt that it was time for someone to have the courage to speak out, and that's what she has done.
Did you ask her, was there ever a sense that he felt that maybe she was leading him on? Because when he invited her to come to the Capitol Hilton Hotel here in Washington, he upgraded her to a beautiful suite. Did she say or do anything to suggest to him that, you know what, maybe they were going to have an affair or anything like that?
Absolutely not, Wolf. And as a matter of fact, he had met her boyfriend, the physician, at an event where it was the National Restaurant Association conference. And in fact, even asked them up to an after party. And her boyfriend came with her. So he had met her boyfriend. And that is why it was her boyfriend who suggested, after she was no longer working for the National Restaurant Association, why don't you call Mr. Cain, Herman, and see if maybe he can help you to get a job, perhaps on the state level, instead of the national level. And she thought that was a good idea because Mr. Cain had been very cordial to her and to her boyfriend. And as I say, she had met Mr. Cain on more than one occasion, so she thought maybe he would help her. And she contacted his secretary, and then he called her back. They made the appointment, and she thought when she got to her room and had been upgraded that maybe it was her boyfriend who had surprised her and done that since he had made the reservations. And only later did she find out from Mr. Cain. Mr. Cain allegedly said to her that he had arranged for the upgrade. So, no. Did she come on to him? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, when he made advances to her, as she alleges that she indicated to him, you know I have a boyfriend. And, of course, he would know that because he had met the boyfriend. So this is not what she came for. She made clear what she came for. And it just was so very disturbing to her.
Why did the National Restaurant Association fire her?
Well, you would have to ask the National Restaurant Association. But part of the reason that she stated today was that they alleged that she hadn't raised enough money for the foundation, and she could not understand that because she alleges that she had raised more than had been raised before for the foundation. But in any event, she was no longer there, and that's why she was meeting with Mr. Cain to see if he could help her get a job elsewhere.
So, bottom line right now, and I'll let you go, Gloria, where do we go from here as far as your client is concerned? What's next from your perspective?
Well, I think this is now in the court of public opinion. I find Sharon to be a very sincere, very credible person. I might add that her two friends that she told contemporaneously with the situation about sexually inappropriate behavior that she alleges also have vouched for her honesty and her decency. And so I think now it's for the voters to decide. She's not going to tell the voters to do anything particular. It's just for them to take this into account. And I'm very proud of her courage because it was a big risk for her. It is a big risk. But she's been willing to speak out, and I'm glad that she did.
Gloria Allred is the attorney representing Sharon Bialek. Gloria, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you very much.